BMW has a secret about their M cars they'd rather you not know. They want you to believe that every M4 is engineered to its maximum potential. And then they build cars like this. This is the 2025 M4 CS. And here's what they don't tell you. If the M4 competition was actually optimized exactly like BMW claims, this car shouldn't make sense. But after driving the CS, I discovered something that changes how you should think about the entire M4 lineup. It doesn't just add power and a whole bunch of carbon fiber, it exposes capabilities that BMW has been deliberately holding back. What's it like? Buckle up, my friends. Let's go for a drive. I'm your host, Brian Makse, racer, lover of driving fast, fun things. And on this channel, you get reviews for drivers from drivers. Now, this M4 CS costs many thousands more than a competition and has just 20 more horsepower, which doesn't sound like a great value proposition until you understand what BMW is selling you. BMW built 500 of these for the North American market. That's basically micro production for a company the size of BMW. But given that this costs many, many thousands more than the competition, I think we're going to have a look at where all of that money goes and what you're getting for that price. And before we get into what this is like to drive, let's have a look at it in a little more depth. The CS sits between the M4 competition and the M4 CSL, which is kind of like being the middle child in a family of overachievers. You're still exceptional, but maybe a little neurotic about it.
Here's what BMW won't tell you about the M4 CS specification sheet. It reads like a German engineer's fever dream with a part-sharing strategy designed to amortize development costs across 3 different models. You've got the pumped-up S58, which is the automotive equivalent of fitting a rocket engine into a briefcase. Technically impressive, probably unnecessary, and definitely expensive. The real story is that BMW shared extensive components between the M4 CS, M3 CS, and M4 CSL to justify the engineering investment. The titanium exhaust shared, carbon fiber components shared, suspension tuning philosophy developed once, deployed 3 times. BMW didn't just build this car, they built a platform for extracting maximum value from their engineering investment. Under the hood is the S58, 3 liters of displacement. It is an inline 6 with 2 monoscroll turbos. Here it's up 20 horses from the M4 competition and makes 543 horsepower from 6,250 to 7,200 RPM and 479 pounds of torque from 2,750 to 5,900 RPM. The transmission's an 8-speed automatic tuned by M, but the all-wheel drive system is also tuned specifically by M for the M4 CS, and it does have a rear-wheel drive mode. There's an electronically controlled limited slip diff at the back, steering's electrically assisted, and it is of course tuned by M. For the CS, there's lots of aluminum construction in the suspension, uses the double joint strut setup at the front, 5-link at the rear, spring rates, anti-roll bars, alignment settings, and adaptive dampers are all tuned specifically for the CS. As you may recall, the M4 is a brake-by-wire car, and this one has the optional carbon ceramics. Wheels and tires are 19s at the front, 20s at the rear, and they're forged for the CS. 275 wide front, 285 wide rear, and as you can see, these are the Michelin Pilot Sport Cup 2s. Carbon buckets are standard, and in the CS there are no cup holders. There's extensive carbon throughout this car: the roof, the hood, front splitter, rear diffuser, and a bunch of interior trim. And BMW loves to say that the carbon fiber roof lowers the center of gravity, which improves dynamics, but really just gives you something expensive to worry about during hailstorms. The xDrive Professional package is standard here. That includes the M Drift Analyzer, the M Lap Timer, and 10 levels of traction control. Because it's a CS, it has the frameless kidney grille design inspired by the M4 GT3, and production was limited to 400 units in the US and 75 in Canada.
Curb weight is 3,902 pounds, which is 77 pounds lighter than the M4 competition. Weight distribution is 53% front, 47% rear, but on this channel, we know it's not static weight distribution that counts, it's how you use it. And fun fact, when BMW initially announced this M4 CS, they thought it was going to be just 44 pounds lighter than the M4 competition. Instead, they got to 77, proving that not all carbon fiber on sports cars goes to waste.
Did you know that 80% of you are not subscribed? Yes, it's true. 80% of you are not subscribed. I checked the data. So if you like the content on this channel, do me a solid, hit that subscribe button, make sure you like this. And if you want to support the channel, please hit up our merch store. Links here, links below. Lots of great stuff for driving enthusiasts like us, including our very popular line of Save the Manuals merch. Now back to your regularly scheduled episode.
Climbing into this M4 CS is like being welcomed into a very expensive therapy session. These carbon buckets grab you with the enthusiasm of a German efficiency expert, holding you exactly where BMW's engineers think you should be. And here's the thing, they're right. These seats position you perfectly behind the wheel and give you ideal sight lines, and they communicate every subtle chassis movement. But they also cost more than most people's annual car budgets and require a yoga routine to get in and out gracefully. It's peak BMW M. They've solved the problem that you didn't know you had. They've also charged you handsomely for the solution and somehow made you grateful for the experience. These seats are simply brilliant, and no matter what the situation, you've got all the support you need, whether it's under heavy braking, whether it's fully loaded going through a corner. These seats have got your back, literally. I do have an odd complaint, and it's not one that you'd expect. I don't know why BMW has made these seats power adjustable. They should be manual. On the other hand, I did discover a pattern. All of my female passengers in this M4 CS complained about the seat. And speaking of passengers, the back seat is for transporting humans on an emergency basis only. I can barely fit behind myself in this seating position, and it's not that much of a comfortable place to be. The steering wheel feels perfect in your hands. It's thick, grippy, confidence-inspiring, right until you realize that replacement costs are more than most people's engagement rings, and thankfully that happens less frequently than weddings. Living with this on a day-to-day basis, this interior is kind of like having a relationship with someone who's simultaneously the best and the worst person you've ever met. Ergonomics are absolutely perfect. The engineers have positioned every control exactly where your racing driver instincts expect to find them. The materials feel expensive because they are expensive, and the build quality makes you understand why German engineers have such a reputation. But when you get in this thing with your morning coffee and look for cup holders, spoiler alert, there aren't any. You realize BMW has built this car for a very specific type of person, someone who values driving purity over practicality. It's automotive Darwinism. If you need cup holders and rear passenger space, you're probably not the intended audience. And honestly, that's just fine, because sometimes good relationships require a little bit of compromise. The iDrive system is still a love-hate thing for me, and it's because BMW's engineers seem to subscribe to the German philosophy of making something more complicated if they can make it more complicated. The curved displays angle toward you like an attentive but slightly needy friend, offering 78 different ways to adjust your suspension settings, but requiring a PhD in menu navigation just to change the radio. It's beautiful, functional, and infuriating in equal measure. Very much like dating someone who's really, really good looking, but insists on explaining cryptocurrency at dinner parties. The good news is, once you learn how to use the system, it works brilliantly. The bad news is learning the system takes as long as it takes to learn conversational German. One thing I do have to mention, though, is that there's a fair bit more road noise that is coming through the chassis. It's not necessarily the tires, but it's all the firmer suspension components that are transmitting all of that noise into this cabin. On the other hand, that titanium exhaust makes this thing sound brilliant. Come on. This thing is astonishing in a straight line. That's really not what this CS is about. It's not about straight line acceleration. It'll do 0 to 60 in something like 3.2, top speed 188 miles an hour. And of course, in the press release, the big news is that it'll do 721s at the Nürburgring. Nürburgring lap times aside, this S58 that's been dialed up a little bit for this CS is BMW's love letter to the inline six. And honestly, It's a pretty compelling argument. In this car, it produces 543 horsepower, which is the automotive equivalent of bringing a nuclear reactor to a toaster competition. Technically overkill, but undeniably effective. The turbos build boosts with the ruthless efficiency of German engineering, delivering power so smoothly you'll question whether physics actually matters anymore. But here's what separates this from every other overpowered motor in the market. The S58 doesn't just make power, it makes power intelligently. The torque curve is flatter than Kansas, peak power holds from 6,250 to 7,200 RPM, and the whole thing revs with the willingness of a Labrador retriever chasing tennis balls. It's engineering for people who understand that horsepower is great, but usable horsepower and torque is everything. The xDrive all-wheel drive in these M cars is much like that friend who knows just the right amount of trouble you can handle at any given moment. In normal driving, it sends power to all four wheels with the confidence of German engineering and the subtlety of a really good therapist. And when I hit my M2 button, rear-wheel drive mode is selected, and suddenly I'm having a very different conversation. One that involves a whole lot of Michelin Pilot Sport Cup 2 tire smoke, a little bit of sideways action, and the kind of grin that makes my insurance agent nervous. The beauty is in the transition. You can go from all-wheel drive security to rear drive hooliganism with the push of a button. It's like Clark Kent with a much more expensive phone booth and significantly higher monthly payments. The 8-speed transmission is so good, it doesn't just shift gears for you, it actually shifts personalities depending on how much trouble you actually want to get into. BMW's engineers probably gave this the rear-wheel drive mode because they think that all-wheel drive is for quitters and for people whose insurance rates aren't expensive enough yet. Fun fact, launch control is standard equipment here, and I think it's because BMW knows that if you're buying an M4 CS, you have trouble making rational decisions in the first place. This CS handles like BMW took all of their M Dynamics engineers, locked them in the room, gave them unlimited coffee and an unlimited budget, and told them to build something that would make the Porsche 911 question its life choices. And since we've found some corners, let's have some fun, shall we? Let's. Turn in incredible brakes. These carbon ceramics are just outstanding. Launches out of the corner, confident on the brake pedal. Turn in is immediate, like telepathic. Wow. The funny thing is, the ride is not really punishing. The suspension's letting the dampers do the work. Love it. Tough corner here, off camber on the exit. Wow. Puts down power flawlessly. This thing is just flying over the road surface. Talk about impressive. Wow. The suspension manages the impossible balance between sports car precision and daily drivability, adjusting damping rates faster than you can change your mind about whether you actually need this much performance in your daily commute. Through corners, this is flatter than a pancake and still incredibly composed. Yeah, this one's fitted with the carbon ceramic brakes, but these brakes elevate this from really good sports car to straight up supercar territory. The first time I hit these brakes with full force, it required a moment of reflection about physics and financial responsibility. I've always enjoyed the standard M compound brakes in any of the M cars. They'll stop you quickly, repeatedly, and with enough feel to inspire confidence in any high-performance driving situation. But these carbon ceramics are transcendent. They don't just slow the car down, they manipulate time and space. Pedal feel is so precise, you could measure baking ingredients with it. And the stopping power is more than enough to bring this missile to a stop faster than most motorcycles. Of course, they cost more than what I spent on my first car, but that is transcendence in the modern automotive world. The overall dynamics here is like BMW distilled everything they know about handling into one car. Suspension geometry has been tweaked specifically for this M4 CS, not just softened or stiffened, but fundamentally re-engineered to extract every possible advantage from the platform. And the result is a car that handles with the precision of a Swiss watchmaker and the confidence of someone who's never been wrong. And overall, it rides firmly, not too harshly, handles brilliantly without being intimidating. It's very, very approachable. And on-limit balance is absolutely perfect. I can balance this thing with the throttle, with the steering, with the brakes. This thing is a joy to drive on-limit. How do you spec yours? Well, this is a very easy question to answer. You can't. They've all been sold. What you are looking at is frozen Isle of Man green metallic paint with the black and Mugello trimmed leather interior. In the US, base price was $123,500. Add the paint and carbon ceramic brakes, and you get an as-tested price of $136,500. In Canada, base price is $150,000. Even add the paint and brakes, and your as-tested price was $165,900. I am speaking in the past tense here because these have all been sold a long time ago. So in terms of speccing yours, it's simply not possible. And if you are looking at one of these, you're going to have to see what's available in the market. My verdict, well, after a week with this M4 CS, I definitely have some thoughts. And the one thing is that BMW won't tell you that they've engineered multiple personalities into this M4 platform, and they're the ones who choose which one you get. The suspension geometry, chassis tuning, the awesome brakes, BMW had these capabilities for the M4 all along. They deliberately dialed back the intensity and the competition to create space for the CS. It's not deceptive, it's more like a sophisticated product strategy. But it means when BMW says the M4 competition is their ultimate driving machine, what they're really saying is it's the ultimate within constraints we've chosen for this price point. This CS, however, brilliantly demonstrates what BMW is capable of when those constraints come off. I think this M4 CS answers the question that most people didn't know they were asking. What happens when you build a car specifically for people who understand the difference between fast and quick, between powerful and capable, between expensive and valuable, and the feeling you get when you hit that perfect lap? This car doesn't just go fast, it makes you a better driver through sheer engineering excellence. The steering teaches you about chassis balance, the brakes teach you about physics, and the engine teaches you the difference between horsepower and torque. It's a masterclass in track-worthy transportation. Thanks for hanging out with me today and having a look at this 2025 BMW M4 CS that you can't buy anymore. Anyway, hope you liked this episode, and if you did, you're not new, you know what to do. Smash the subscribe button, turn on your notifications, like this, and as always, sharing is caring. So please share this with your friends, especially on Reddit, because on Reddit, they really need to see reviews for drivers from drivers. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them in the comments below. I'll get back to you as soon as I can. And if you want to support the channel, please hit up our merch store. Links here, links below. Lots of great stuff for driving enthusiasts like us, including our very popular line of Save the Manuals merch, and BMW still makes some fantastic manuals. Thanks, BMW. Anyway, thanks again for watching. See you again next time, and remember, cars don't understeer by themselves, not even BMW M4 CSs. And since you've hung around this long, we'll have a look at a little bit of a different M4 episode, the M4 CSL we drove a couple of years ago. I think it'll provide a little bit of a contrast to what this CS is all about. Thanks again for watching. See you again next time.